Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you guys are new here. So for today's video, I might have fucked up. I might have bought a palette that I honestly don't need and probably already have in my collection, but we're just gonna roll with it. So here's the new Bperfect Cosmetics Carnival Interstellar palette with Stacey Marie. I actually do have quite a few of the Carnival lines with Stacey Marie, and this is another rainbow palette that she launched. But is it actually worth it? So you guys want to know what this palette's all about, what type of look I created, and did I just waste my money? Well, then definitely keep on watching. Okay guys, so here's the new Bperfect Cosmetics. This is the Carnival Interstellar palette. I actually have I think 2 or 3 of the Carnival palettes, or like Stacey Marie's collaboration with Bperfect Cosmetics. Each one is a rainbow themed palette, and I originally saw this palette and I was on the fence about whether or not I should get it. Then it launched and I just went, ah, and I got it out of a whim. But I spent over $70 on this because of it being from the UK, so I had to pay for shipping and handling, and their price points are just a little bit different from us. But here is the Interstellar Carnival palette. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it is a very beautiful palette. She's beautiful, but she's also another rainbow palette. Like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my god, she really is pretty, but like, I think I might have fucked up, y'all. I think I did. So this is going to be the Interstellar palette right here. You guys can definitely see that it does have a range of beautiful colors in here with a mix of grays, which I do think is actually really cool that they did like a rainbow slash gray tone palette. I do kind of want to compare it to just a few. So here is the Bperfect Cosmetics. This is the Love Tahiti Volume 3 palette. So as you guys can see right here, we have a rainbow palette, and we have some colors in here, and they're supposed to be vastly different, and on camera they might not look that different, but in person you guys can definitely see the different tones. Like, this to me is very bright and vibrant, and this one here definitely has more like a pastel-y cool tone vibe in terms of the colors versus the Love Tahiti Volume 3. For the Interstellar palette, honestly all I see is the Blend Bunny Cosmetics palette. So right here, we're just diving straight into the review, by the way. Like, I just dove straight on in. But right here, we do have the Blend Bunny Cosmetics. This is the Blends palette right here. I absolutely do love this palette. I believe it retails for $39. Guys, can use code Allie, which will save you guys 10% off on Blend Bunny. But let's like look at the comparison between the two. They're like the same. They're pretty much the same. Literally, they're pretty much the same. The only difference is that this has more colors in it and this has shimmers, but looking at it from like in person, they pretty much are going to be almost like the same palette. So if you guys have the Blends Bunny, because if you guys have the Blends palette, you guys honestly might not need this, but I'm definitely still going to try it out because I know the formula on these are really, really good, but was it worth $70? So let me quickly just kind of go over this palette with you guys. One, I want to say that I absolutely do love the theming of this. I love that it's like interstellar, it's like outer planets, it's like space, and when I look at this, all I think of like is like the movie War of the Worlds. And I think the reason why I'm thinking about that is because I am going to start to heavily introduce gaming onto my channel. Gaming is a massive passion of mine, and while I love makeup, let's be realistic here, a lot of people just kind of stopped watching makeup on YouTube, and I'm going to keep doing it. That's not going to change, but I want to do more than just makeup. So I'm going to start playing a lot of video games on my channel, and there's like this new game that's supposed to come out sometime next year. I think it's in beta right now, and it's like the War of the Worlds video game, like based upon the movie. I'm just going to show you a quick scene. Don't know if I can handle playing that game, okay? I don't know. That literally scares the living shit out of me. You guys have no idea. I saw that movie when I was, I don't know, whenever they came out in theaters, I was like a teenager at that time when it came out. I was in high school, and that noise of the tripod has always scared me. Like, that particular noise, I'm always like, it's happening. So like, I don't know if my anxiety and my fear can handle playing that game, but it's something I would love to do with you guys. So that's kind of like what I'm thinking about when I see this, because it is like a space palette, but I think it's like Interstellar. I think they're kind of basing it off more kind of like maybe the movie, which has a beautiful soundtrack, by the way. But yeah, I think it's a really beautiful palette. I think it definitely does kind of hit the field of like spacey vibes, because you are going to have those pastel colors with like the gray tones right here, which I think is really beautiful. I think this palette really does complement each other, but I also think I also have these colors in so many other palettes. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to swatch this palette. I just realized this is a lot to swatch. We're going to swatch this palette. I will say if my swatches aren't the best, I actually ran out of like micellar water or like a in-between cleanser. I ran out. So we're just going to have to use a wet paper towel and call it a day. So let me go ahead and swatch this for you guys. Okay, so the very first row we have is Spacewalk, Atom, Roswell, Orbit, which is pressed glitters. If I had known this palette had pressed glitters, I would have not gotten it, because I just don't like pressed glitters. We have Believer, Traveler, Odyssey, First Man, and Dark Side right there. Next we have Stargazer, Lightyear. This is going to be a pressed glitter, but I'm not going to lie, the way it's swatched was actually really nice. It was very dreamy, almost foil-like. It swatched beautifully, so I will definitely give it that. We have Nebula, Martian, Pluto, Velocity, Space Rice, and Galactic right there. Very beautiful shades. Up next we have Conspiracy, Area 51, Fiction, Alien, Meteor, this gorgeous shade called Reptilian. Are they trying to tell us something, that they secretly run the government? We have Misty Moon, Galaxy, and Hubble. Up next we have Supernova, Comet, Classified, Mercury, Earthbound, Celestial, New Moon, 1969, and Moonwalk right there. All right, guys. In the last row, we have Phenomenon, From Mars, Cosmos, Lunar, Woke, Interstellar, Rocky, Rover, and Deep Space right there. So those are all the swatches. I have to give it to them. I like the way they lay this out. It really made it so easy to do a really cohesive eye look just by the way they lay this out. I really am enjoying how the formula is. The mattes are super pigmented, and those shimmers and like those foils are so creamy and buttery. I just wish that these two shades were not glitters, just because I'm not the biggest fan. But we're going to go ahead and zoom on in. We're going to give this palette out. We're going to go ahead and zoom on in. We're going to go ahead and give this palette a full tryout. See if it's actually worth the price point for me. Like I said, I already have these shades in majority of my other palettes. So like, as much as I think it's really beautiful, is it still worth it? So let me go ahead and get you guys zoomed on in. Okay, so because it's like a space themed palette, I'm going to try to do like a space style look by doing like purples, grays, blues, blacks. Like that's kind of how like I associate blue, like the space. But like I know that like a lot of people use like greens and yellows to be like aliens. But we're gonna try to do like a space inspired look. So I'm gonna go into the shade probably Atom right here to kind of just like do like an outer corner thingamabob. Okay, so we're gonna start off right here, and we're literally just going to lay this down just in my like crease area, and we're going to just start to place this right here, because I guess we're gonna do like a smoky eye look today is like what we're going for. I don't know, it's been a hot minute since I played with any of the Bperfect Cosmetics palettes. They're really nice. I love the formula. I will say Stacey Marie, she is such a talented makeup artist. Like, oh my gosh, I wish I had her skills, but alas, I do not. It's so crazy too is that like I literally am like fascinated by space. I think everybody's always a little bit fascinated by space, and it's so funny is that my entire life, I don't think I've ever really like talked about this with a lot of people. Corey knows because I've openly talked about it with him, but I've always stared at the moon and the stars, and I always go, isn't it crazy to think that like 3,000 or 4,000 years ago, or like during the ancient Egyptian time, like they were all looking at the stars and the moon too. And I always wonder, like, do you think they were wondering about like future generations, or are they ever looking at the moon going, wow, people in our past were doing the exact same thing? And I do that all the time, where I stare at the moon and the stars, and I think, you know, about people in the past doing the exact same thing, what life was like back then, and then like people in the future doing the same exact thing that I'm doing. I just feel like we're all kind of connected, and I find it to be so fascinating. Do I ever have like any desires to like visit space? No. I don't, only because I don't know, the idea of it makes me like super claustrophobic. Like, I don't know, I feel super claustrophobic just even thinking about it. I'm like, I feel like I couldn't breathe. Like, I don't know if I can handle ever going up to space. Plus, I hate that like stomach dropping feeling, and I don't think I can handle like the rocket ship to get you guys up there. So I just think that it's not necessarily in my cards to ever visit space. But I know that they've been like what we're talking about, going up there and like letting civilians go up there too, but they have to pay like a shit ton of money to go up there. Like that is just not it for me. Like I'm good. But I do like playing like space type of games. I think those are a lot of fun. So when I saw that they were doing like the World of the War video game, I was like Alex thinks that we should stream it, and Corey's like, yeah, you should stream it because he thinks it's gonna be like really funny to kind of like see my reaction, because he knows that I would get absolutely terrified at hearing like those tripods going like, I don't know, he thinks I'd be very scared. I would too. I'm gonna go to the shade like light year right here to kind of buff it out just a little bit more. I'd be absolutely terrified, like absolutely terrified. There's no way I could play a video game handling that noise. I think the video game's all about surviving, and I would be just like shitting my pants the whole time going, ain't no way, I'm not leaving this building. I would just die. I would not want to leave the building. That movie like absolutely terrorized me as a kid. It scared the shit out of me. And I think it all boils down to that one scene in Signs, like with that kid's birthday party. I should not have been alone at my parents' house watching that movie because it literally tormented me. It's funny because my mom had me watch The Fly. My mom had me watch The Exorcism, The Poltergeist. Like she had me watch like all these movies as a kid. Those didn't scare me, but Signs, that alien popping out, oh, I never got so scared in my entire life. And it's a scene to this day that I still like when it comes on. I'm like it's so scared. Like, it's amazing like what traumatizes you as a kid that you still see it to this day. You're like, nope. Okay, so it's like laying down rather nicely. So we're going to go into the shade Dark Side. The dark side right here. And we're actually going to tap that into the outer corner because like I said, I vision like black being in here too, like with space. So we're just going to start to just tap this just right here to kind of mix it in with that purple, just to like deepen it up just a tad. Look at me doing black, y'all. I never do black. I find black so intimidating. I feel like I'm doing a Halloween look now. Trust the process. We're going to go into the shade Nebula right here. And we're going to start to lay that down right next to that black because we're actually going to use it as a base today because lo and behold, I talk a lot of shit about pressed glitters, and yet I am going to use a pressed glitter today because I really want to try the formula on this palette to see how I like their pressed glitters, because their pressed glitters might honestly surprise me. So we're going to try it out. So I'm going to kind of use this as like a base. And I just feel like this is like a little like outer spacey type of look. Like that's what I'm trying to go for, is like outer space style-esque look. Being like inspired by this palette. Okay, so like it's going to be messy, but we're going to trust the process. We're going to go into the shade Orbit right here. And we're going to trust the process. I could technically use glitter glue, but I just figured this base would be kind of nice, and it absolutely is because it's definitely gripping on. Wow, this has like some purple reflex in it. Holy crap. Okay, I will say it's laying down rather nicely, which is honestly surprising. I didn't know what to expect, but it's actually gripping onto the lid. I didn't even need to lay down any sort of glitter glue, and it's like gripping on really nicely, and that I actually really appreciate. A little bit of Milky Way right here. Just to tap it on that outer edge just a tiny bit, just because it already has that like purpleness to it, and just tapping it like right here. Okay, then to like really kind of like spice it up, we're going to go into the shade Moonwalk, which is again another pressed glitter. There's quite a few pressed glitters in this palette, but we're just going to go for it, guys, because it's been a minute and I really want to try out this brand's pressed glitters. So we're going for it. Again, I laid down no glitter glue, and surprisingly enough, it's laying down actually really nicely. Okay, so that's kind of it for this side right here. I'm going to quickly do the other side off camera. We're going to come back to do the under eyes together. But surprisingly, I don't hate it, and there's actually not that much fallout on the face in terms of like the glitter, which I'm really shocked about because typically a lot of pressed glitters that I've worked with has a ton of fallout, and this surprisingly doesn't. It's actually really taking me by surprise. Is it my favorite? No, but I will say the quality is really impressing, and it's like making me go, So let me go and do the other eye, guys, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now that the lashes are on, we're going to go ahead and finish off the eye look and kind of like the face as well. So we're going to go back into this palette, and we're actually going to take that deep space shade or dark side shade once again, and we're going to go right along the waterline with that. So I will say, initially when I started playing with the glitters, I was like, oh, there's no fallout like whatsoever. But honestly, like now that I've been putting on the rest of my face, there is definitely some fallout with this glitter shade. Granted, I should have used glitter glue, but I just feel like, I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan with working with glitter glue, only because it's such a pain to take off your eye looks whenever you have glitter. It's why I'm not the biggest fan, because this shit takes forever to come off. So that's why I don't like to work with it as much. I will say it is really pretty in the eye, especially when the light catches it, because it's so sparkly, but it's just not that enjoyable for me to play with. That's why I'm honestly not the biggest fan of it, but obviously I will work with it when I like need to. So now that we have that shade down, I'm going to kind of just buff it out just a tad so it's not too harsh, since we are kind of sticking to that space theme, because this is like an Interstellar palette, so I kind of want to go like spacey vibes. We are going to go into the shade, I think this dark blue shade called Traveler right here. And we're going to run that along that blue shade right here. Just kind of mix that in, because I just feel like space, it just screams blue, purple, gray, black. Not really too much of the other colors. I mean, some, I guess like the green, because you do like alien eye looks, but like, I don't know. I guess you could think of maybe like the solar system with like, you know, Mars and Saturn and Jupiter and all of them being like different colors. But I just always feel like space is always represented with like blues and purples and blacks and grays. And that's the kind of look I'm going for today. Really kind of bringing this down, because I really want this to be kind of like smoky. All right, now that that's laid down, we're going to go into the shade Light Year. Once again, just to kind of mix that into that blue very, very lightly, just to add like that color and dimension. So just kind of run that right along the edge right here, very lightly. Definitely some like kick up, definitely some fallout with that shade for sure. Okay, so now I put on some, okay, so now my eyes are done and did like a little smokiness. I kind of smoked them out, did some black liner and mascara. We're going to finish off the eye look and the highlighter. So I'm going to go into the Michaela Part 2 Glam Light Highlighter. We're actually going to take the shade called Starstruck. This has a blue tint to it, and I just feel like this would be really complimentary to this look, especially because it is like an outer space feel. So we're just going to take this and we're going to put this right here. Has that nice duochrome blue shift. I mean, just yes, look at that, so beautiful. I feel like this really just complements this eye look. And you guys can use code Allie. You guys can use code Allie D to save you guys 15% off at Glamlight. You guys know how much I love Glamlight. You guys are always asking me when I'm ever gonna do a Glamlight review. You guys always ask me when I'm ever gonna do like a Glamlight collaboration. Y'all gotta ask them. That's not on me. That's on the brand. And until the brand says yes, we can just wish and hope, because yes, I would absolutely do it. I would love Glamlight. Okay, now I'm gonna take that same shade and we're gonna put that in the inner corner and the brow bone today. So I'm gonna take this, I'm just gonna go right here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw on a nude lip and I'll be right back. All right, guys, and this is the final look. So what do we think of it? Like, what do we think of the look? Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I think it's so beautiful. I really like how the look I really like how the look turned out. I feel like it's very like space vibes. It makes me think of space. And I really think it kind of captures the essence of the palette. I think it's really, really beautiful. And I will say this pressed glitter does look really beautiful on the lid. So first off, we do have the Bperfect Cosmetics Carnival Interstellar palette. I love how the packaging looks. It's very minimalistic. You definitely can see the space vibes in the Carnival feel. It's Interstellar. It definitely matches all of the other palettes that they have together. And when you open the inside, you do have a beautiful range of colorful shadows with a beautiful range of the gray tone shadows right here. I think they really do complement each other very well. I think it makes it a really easy palette to work with, because you do have a variety of choices to choose through. And looking at this palette compared to the other ones, while they are pretty similar, they are different in the sense that there's grays in this palette, and that this is definitely more of like a pastel cool tone palette versus the Carnival Tahiti Volume 3, which is very bright and neon in your face. This is a little bit more cool tone with a little bit more variation of colors. So I do think it's a really beautiful palette. And I really do love the look that I created. And I will say that the shimmers in here are beautiful. The mattes are so pigmented and so easy to work with. But I still think the downfall of this palette is the pressed glitters. There's only 3 of them, luckily. But I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan of the pressed glitters. While they do look beautiful on the lid, they can really make an eye look pop. I just find that I don't know. They're not that fun to work with, in my personal opinion. They're not. Like, there's definitely some fallout on the face. Not as much. There was a lot of fallout on my hands and on my arm and on my like shirt. There's like a lot of glitter fallout there. Granted, it's on the face, so I do appreciate that, but I don't know. I just wish this palette got rid of the pressed glitters and used shimmers instead, or foils instead, because I feel like those are so much easier to work with. And I just find that foils definitely have more pigmentation in my mind. I feel like the light reflects off of foils a lot easier than it does with shimmers. A lot easier than it does with glitters, but I could definitely see the appeal to glitter because it is really pretty at the end of the day. But I don't know. I just feel like the palette definitely could have done a lot better without having that. And I will say this is a very gorgeous palette, but it definitely, I will say it's a very gorgeous palette, but it does retail for $70, or at least I paid $70 to get it over here. And while I do really enjoy it, I definitely found that I don't need it. Like, generally, I really don't need it because I do have all these colors in other palettes. I have it in my other Carnival palettes. I have it in my Blend Bunny Cosmetics palette, which is half the cost of this palette. And granted, this has more tones. It's pretty much the same concept, with just a little bit difference in colors. And I just know me, realistically, I won't dive into this palette as much as I will other palettes. While I think it's beautiful, it's not worth it. And I shouldn't have got it. And I should have stuck with my rule of thumb. I've had this rule of thumb for a very long time, that if you really wanted something, you would get it. And I was going back and forth on this palette for so long. I was talking to Mikey nonstop about it the morning of the launch, because it launched at 6 a.m. And I was going back and forth, back and forth. He ended up not getting the palette, by the way, and I still got it. But I will definitely say that I was going back and forth, and I should have just trusted my gut instinct, because at the end of the day, if you really want something, you'll get it. You don't hesitate on it. And I hesitated so much on this, and the last minute I just said, fuck it, and I bought it. I honestly shouldn't have. Like, in reality, I shouldn't have. It's beautiful. I will use it, but realistically, I don't need it because I already have these shades in so many other palettes. And how many rainbow palettes can you keep coming out with without it all being the same at the end of the day? Do you know what I mean? So it's a great formula. But yeah, I think you guys can definitely save your coin on this one, especially if you guys do have the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Blends palette. You pretty much have this palette minus the shimmers. So I'm glad I have it. It's beautiful, but definitely save your coins. So yeah, guys, that is it for today's video. It sucks because I really do like this look, but I also know that taking the glitter out today is going to be a bitch, and I don't, I hate dealing with glitter. But anyway, guys, I really do hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you do, please make sure you guys give this video a cheeky thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you guys have not already, because I do post 4 to 5 videos every single week. Make sure you guys head over to my other channel. It's Art for Life. You guys get to see my cool, wonderful adventures, my amazing husband, Corey. And as always, the biggest thank you goes to all these beautiful, wonderful Patreon members you guys see right here. Thank you guys so much for everything. And to my subscribers and viewers, thank you guys so much for being here. Whether you guys like this video, you guys thumbs down this video, you guys subscribed, you guys did not subscribe, either way, thank you guys so much for being here. I love and appreciate each and every single one of you. So with that said, guys, I love you, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. So I do have to pay for like shipping and handling and prices and what bright and very bright. This to me is very bright.